Hello, hello. I am back. This is Leslie Regalado, host of this amazing group, Successful Action Taking Female Entrepreneurs. And this is our first weekly video training. I am super excited about it. And earlier this week, I shared a post, the Welcome September post, and I shared how at the end of every month, I basically prepare for what's coming the following month. Just like I do on Sundays to prepare for the week, I also do it at the end of every month to prepare for the following month. And today I want to share with you guys some of those tips that I shared inside of that post, but with a little bit more detail. So, are you guys ready and excited? Because I definitely am. I love new beginnings of any kind. Every new day, every new week, every new month, every new year, every new birthday. They just all get me really excited because I feel like it's a reset. And sometimes we need those. Sometimes we just look back and we're super excited about how far we've come and how great we're doing. And other times it's just we need to press that reset button and kind of start over a bit. And those new beginnings of the day and the week and the month give us that opportunity. So I have the post in front of me so I don't forget to make sure I hit every point that I shared in there. So, first of all, the first thing that I love to do is I love to create a really awesome vibe during that time, during that session. Just like I do on Sundays when I prepare for the week, I like to, maybe put some like nice, cool music, just relax. Um, just whatever needs to happen in order for you to be like chill and not stressed out, where you're looking forward to these sessions. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is I love to have like a cool pen. I mean, you might be like a total geek like I am with this, but I love like a cool pen or like sticky notes or highlighters or colorful pens, a nice notebook. Or it can just be a notebook like I had this month for September. I literally just grabbed the notebook because I had been to Walmart to get the kids some stuff, some supplies for school at home. And the notebooks, they're like the spiral regular college roll notebooks for just 25 cents. So I grabbed like a handful of those. So for this month, that's what I'm using. Or you could go all fancy and go to whatever store you prefer and get one that's like 15 bucks or 10 or whatever amount you want to pay for it. But this month, I've literally, my notebook for the month, it's just 25 cents. So just a quarter. But you all do whatever you want to do. But I take for every single month, I have a notebook. And the way it works is that in that notebook, everything for the month goes in there. Meaning, the first page, I write down all of my to-dos for the month. So, for example, like, and I don't mean like the to-dos like groceries and, like clean the house and, that kind of stuff. I'm talking about like more of the bigger projects, whether it's in business and in home as well. So, it can be really anything, sending these emails or following up with this person or completing this or starting that. So you literally write, you take 1 or 2 pages of everything that has to get done that month. And then you can highlight the ones that absolutely must get done, no ifs, ands, or buts. Okay. And then that way, and then you're going to take those and you're going to plug them in, which I'll talk about in a second. But the ones that don't get plugged in as must be done type of items, what you can do is you can go ahead and just keep them on that like first page. And if you're done with some of these other projects earlier, you have some free time here or there, you can go ahead and go back to that list and check out what are the items that you can do and squeeze in during that time. Okay, if you happen to have free time, which most of us don't, but let's say you do. Okay, so that's the first couple things. Create an awesome environment for when you do this. So that way what happens is that you look forward to doing it, which is like a really positive thing. Then the next thing is get like your supplies together, your fun school supplies, I guess you can call them, like a fun pen or colorful pens or colorful highlighters or whatever you need to make this the kind of experience that you want to have. And then a notebook of whatever kind. The next thing is, let's see what I have here. Focus on your goals, which I kind of talked about, and write those down. But I like starting with my primary goal and then break that down into smaller actionable steps. So smaller goals and actionable steps. So, inside of the Master Your Mindset, experience that I teach, I break it down to all the way, like from all your vision to your dreams to your goals, all the way down to the one goal, the one thing you're going to be focusing on for the next quarter, for the next 90 days, or for the current 90 days. You pick when it starts and when it finishes. And what I'm looking at when I first get started in the month is I'm looking at that one main goal. And I'm basically figuring out how I'm going to get ahead with that goal throughout the month and breaking it down so it gets done. The next thing is I take a look at quarterly goals, see how, again, so how I'm coming along. So rewind. The big goal is like I'm looking at my big goal. What am I working on right now? Like what's like the big thing I'm doing? So for example, if you're creating this new website, that's like your main goal. That sometimes can take longer than 3 months. So it might not be your quarterly goal, but like what's the big thing you're working on right now? And then you're going to look at your quarterly goal. Once you look at that quarterly goal, you're going to see how far ahead or not you are. And one of the things I had shared is that you want to make sure that you're making progress on that. Progress always over perfection. So what kind of progress have you made? Instead of looking at your quarterly goal once every quarter and coming to the end of every quarter and figuring out that you haven't gotten too far ahead with that goal, you haven't even started, or maybe you're not even halfway done with it, don't wait until the end. This is why it's so important for me to look at what I'm doing every day, to look at what I'm doing every week, every month, every quarter, and every year. Why? Because an unplanned, unfocused, unprepared day turns into all of that in a week, that in a month, that in a quarter, and that in a year. And before you know it, 10 years have passed by and you're wondering what the heck just happened. Where did all that time just go? If we're not intentional, we don't by accident happen to come across success in our life. We have to be very intentional with the things that we want to do on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. The next thing I do is I look at the quarterly goals that are incomplete and write out my new monthly targets. So when you look at your quarterly goal, you need to figure out what you need to, so break it down into three, because obviously quarterly is 3 months. You need to break it down into three, I'm sorry, and then figure out what you're going to do that month. Because I think so often we overestimate what we can do tomorrow and we underestimate what we do today. And it's so sad because we're always like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later. And then we just don't get to it. And it sucks because, again, before we know it, months turn into weeks turn into months, into years, and into like 10 plus years. And we haven't accomplished that first goal that we set for ourselves. And sometimes the rest either. So we want to make sure we're intentional and focused, and that's going to allow us maybe not to reach every single goal we set for ourselves and every single target, but we will definitely hit way more goals than we would have. It would have never been intentional with them. So the next thing is, so once you break down your quarterly goal into the monthly goal, then you want to break it down and plug it into your weekly. Like, so you're going to take that big goal that you're working on, or those big things that you're working on this month, and you're going to plug them in to your planner. That's very important because if you don't plan to do it, you're very unlikely to actually get it done. Okay, because what we focus on is what we get more of. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and plug everything into your planner. But before that, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and plug in all of your important occasions. So like if you have birthdays, if you have a wedding, if you have a special outing, anything that you don't want to miss needs to get plugged in first. So you don't double book anything and you like plan to do, I don't know, like a video or like an interview with someone on this day and you originally had something else that was important. Another thing that I love to do, I love to plug in time with family, time with people that I love, because so often we plan everything else and we don't plan that. And then again, it doesn't get done. And that's where us being intentional is so important. Figuring out what are your values? What's important to you? What are your top values? Is it family? Is it God? Is it your career? Like, what is it and in what order? So you know where you need to deposit your time, where you need to invest your time. Because you tell me where your time is invested, and I will tell you what's important to you. So once you plug in all those important occasions, then you want to add your quarterly and your monthly goals to your calendar. very specifically where they're going to get done. Again, if you don't plan to do them, you're not going to do them. Take a look at your not finished yet to-dos, any loose ends, open loops from previous month. Add those items to your monthly calendar wherever you have free time, like I had mentioned earlier, or just leave them in that front section, that front to-do list that you created at the very beginning of your notebook. And that way you can go back. And again, when you have some free time, you can plug it in. Or if you finish a project early, you can do that as well. Transfer your monthly to-dos into weekly. Okay, you want to make sure the calendar that I have, it has like a monthly spreadsheet where I can do it. I can look at the month at a glance. And then I have like a full spread, two pages right next to each other of the week. So I have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and that way. And then I have it's like from 6 a.m. to like 10 a.m. I'm sorry, from 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. And I get to plug everything in. I'm very detailed with this because again, if I don't write this in, it just doesn't get done. We have so many distractions. We have so much going on that if we don't plan to do something, it often does not get done. It gets bumped over or replaced by something that becomes urgent instead of important. Someone else's agenda becomes your agenda because they wrote it down. They, called you, they asked you to do it where you could have just made that promise to yourself and created that calendar for yourself, and then you would have followed the directions. I always say, I'm the boss at night and that I'm the employee in the morning, or I am the boss at the end of the month and I'm the employee throughout the whole month. What does that mean? That means that I get to plan everything out just like our managers, our bosses, the CEOs of companies do. They literally sit down. Some people do it in a group. When you're a solopreneur, you do it for yourself and you plan out everything that's going to happen. So that's you put on like your boss hat, and that is what you're doing at that moment when you're planning. Then you take off the boss hat and you put on your employee boss hat, and that is when you're going to get to work. Get to work doing the things that your boss hat you said you were going to do. And you just follow directions. You just follow your prompts. And the reason I'm saying this is because when you go to work, think about it. If you still work a 9 to 5, or if you've ever worked for someone else, think about what was going on. They planned out the schedule. They, basically set everything up. You got there and you got to work. There was no, oh, what should I do today? No, you got there and you knew what you had to do because someone had planned it out for you. Well, now it's time for you to do that for yourself so you can actually get some, like, get ahead with your goals and your dreams. The next thing is, let me go back to my list here because otherwise I'll forget. So that weekly, then you put that into your daily. Okay, so my planner, the way it works, let me kind of rephrase that. It's the monthly spread, and then I have right before the daily spread, there is a section where like there's boxes of the weekdays, so like Sunday through Saturday. In there is where I plug in like the things that I'm going to do each day. So record a live video, or create, I don't know, a workbook for this month's masterclass, whatever it is that I'm doing, each day. And then I go a step further, and on my daily planner section, what I do is I plug in what I'm going to do that day from literally 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I happen to wake up more often than not at 5 a.m. 5:30. So I do add like on the very top, because there's like a little space in between like my checklist of little 5 must do's and then my whole daily task, my whole daily plan. I have like a little space. So in there I put 5 a.m. and I put wake up slash walk or wake up slash workout. That's what I do my first hour. It does take me a little while to like get up and brush my teeth and kind of get going. So I give myself half an hour for that. And then I give myself half an hour to move my body every day. And then I start, with everything else I have to do. And mine is very detailed. You may not be as much of a geek as I am with planning everything out in such detail, but if you are, definitely writing everything down is so helpful. I've done it without doing that, and I've done it with. And when I do it with, I am so dang productive. But when I do it without and I just kind of wake up, I don't know what happens. I'm like in a blank, and it takes me so long to kind of get into it. And by the time I actually figure out what I'm going to do, 2, 3 hours have already passed by, which means I just wasted 2, 3 hours of my life in one day. That's not okay. None of us have 2 to 3 hours to waste, unfortunately. Okay. So we don't want to do it. So once you do that, so you're going to plug it into your daily. The next thing is refer back to your goals and your monthly calendar often to make sure that you're staying on track. There's nothing worse than getting to the end of the month or the end of the week and figuring out that you didn't even touch the things you said you were going to do. The only way to make progress towards your goals is by knowing what they are. Again, you cannot hit a target that you're not aiming for. Remember that. So that's pretty much, I think that covers pretty much everything. I just want to make sure that you guys know that this is just what works for me. It's worked for me for a long time, just having like this like rigid kind of process. I think we fight routine so much, especially those of us that are more like creative and free spirited and we just kind of love freedom and flexibility. We need structure. Everyone needs structure. I think we all figured that out when the pandemic hit and when we were on lockdown. We figured out really fast how much we need structure, even when we're home, even if we're not working, even doesn't matter what our life looks like. When we have structure, it gets us centered, it gets us focused, it gets us to be productive in whatever it is that we choose to be productive in. So that's what works for me, and obviously, I hope that you were able to take away some things from there. But I do also understand that everyone has their own routines. You might already have a phenomenal month-end planning session practice that works for you. If you do, and it looks a bit different than mine, please do share in the comments below or inside the group because I love to constantly update. Mine's working really well, but you never know. I might learn something from yours that I want to adopt as, a portion of mine or a section of my month end session. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I hope that you guys learned a bit. But like I said, I know that people have different ways of working. So if that was like totally not like your brain is rejecting it 100%, totally cool, totally cool. But what I will urge you to do is find something that works for you. Find a month end, just like the year end, when you like create vision boards and plan out like your whole year and kind of just set like what your intentions are for the year, what your goals are. You create goal posters or vision boards, whatever it is that you like to do at the end of the year to start off the year on track. It's the same thing that we have to do month to month. Because again, you don't want to get to the end of a year and realize that you never really even worked on those goals. And that's what happens so many times. This is why these end of the year or new year goals or visions or whatever you want to call them are repeated year after year because we get too busy and too distracted and we never really focus on any of it. So if you do that and then you break down into months and then weeks and then days, you're so much more likely to do it. Why? Because your year-long goal is huge. Usually it's huge. So, but if you break it down into months, it's a little bit more doable. If you break it down into weeks, it's even more. When you break it down into days, it is like, I can do this. And you realize that it becomes such a simple thing to do and to accomplish. So, yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. And again, just share any takeaways that you had. Leave them in the comments below. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. You can also DM me. The other thing that I had asked you a little while ago is make sure that if you have your own month-end session routine that you absolutely love, that you're like, oh, I think I want to share mine because it's super great. Or even if you don't think it's that great, but you want to share it because you never know. Again, we're here to collaborate, to learn from each other, and to learn and grow together. All right, I will talk to you guys soon. All right, bye.